ladies and gentlemen, Ambassador Dr. Sharron J. Brown.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today I want to talk to you about the power of finding your voice in the midst of your storm. This is a conversation that many of us have been a part of or have some type of experience with losing our voice in the midst of our storm. For some of you in the room, it will be an opportunity for you to redefine yourself, and for some, it will just be a mere push into your purpose. Life sometimes throws us many different obstacles, challenges, and difficulties at times. Causes us to lose our sense of direction, our power, our voice. But for others, the storm merely just guides us to a place of courage, determination. It helps us to be able to rebalance ourselves and causes us to be resilient. That's why I am always reminded when I'm a little down or really feeling that I don't have that push that I really need. I think of the eagle. After 30 years or plus, the eagle, she began to understand and have enough wisdom to understand that it's time for her to regroup and to balance herself so that she can be ready for the next storm that will come up in her life. And so she began to fly into the mountain, into the valley place. She breaks her beak against the cleft of the rock. She claws off her claws and began to pull out her own feathers because she knows that there will be a time that she will have to weather the storm that's going to come her way. That's why I am reminded that many of us, when we think of an eagle, sometimes we don't see ourselves. But today I want you to see yourself being a part of the narrative and being a part of the narrative of change that we all need in our community. That's why I'm reminded of a story, a movie for some of us, and it's one of my favorites. It's The Wiz or The Wizard of Oz. I think about Dorothy, how Dorothy just could not see herself in her future. No, she couldn't see herself, but it would take a village, and in her village, it was her Aunt Emma. And her Aunt Emma really saw something greater on the inside of her, and she began to always encourage her that you can be everything and anything that you put your mind to, Dorothy. But it will cause a storm that will come into Dorothy's life that will push her onto the path of her purpose, onto the path of her destiny, like many of us. So for me, I understand what that looks like and what that felt like. And on the path of her destiny and on to the yellow brick road, Dorothy ended up meeting the Scarecrow. And the Scarecrow just wanted a brain because he was so used to, like some of us in this room today that are listening, he was so used to people defining him, telling him who he was and who he should be. And so she invited him to come along this journey with her. And as they began to travel on the yellow brick road, they ended up meeting the Tin Man. And the Tin Man just wanted a heart. He wanted to begin to feel again. Sometimes when we are in these difficult places in our lives, in the storm, we begin to check out and we stop feeling and stop relating to the reality of what's going on the inside of us. And so he too joined the journey with them onto the yellow brick road. And then they met the king of the jungle, that all he wanted was some heart, courage. All he wanted was courage. And the lion did not know that all he needed was to just believe in himself, and what he needed was already on the inside of him. You see, I can identify with each and every one of those characters because I was a young girl that grew up in Orange Mound, just like some of you in this community, that just never could get it together. I never could get it right. I was born with a dyslexia, and I had a disability, a learning disability, and I was dyslexic. At the age of 5, I was molested. At the age of 7, I was molested again. By the time I was 12, I started smoking weed, drinking, getting high, and trying to deal with some of the trauma that had happened in my life. But by the time I was a freshman in college, I was raped at gunpoint. After being raped at gunpoint, 3 months after that, I was recruited into human trafficking. Several months after that, I started smuggling drugs into the country. And then I really began to lose the power of my voice, my agency, and I had absolutely no direction. I really wasn't supposed to make it. Like many of the people that we see in our communities, it looks like they're not supposed to be there or they don't fit in. That's why it's important for us not to judge people when we see them, because you never know how they got there and what led them down their path. I want to share with you a few things that I feel that will help navigate us through our storms when you're having it. Because some of us end up in storms, whether it's a death, whether it's a loss, maybe you had a life-changing in your circumstances that really, really caused you to lose all hope. And so a few things to finding the power of your voice, embracing your vulnerability, being okay with saying, I am afraid, I just don't have it all together. And even more than that, I don't even know how to put things together. Making sure that you do some self-reflection and also being kind to yourself, self-compassion. Making sure as you're reflecting on your life and where you are in your life, that you be honest with yourself first. Making sure that you can actually be the change that you want to see. And when you operate in this space called self-compassion, make sure you love on yourself and be kind and give yourself permission to heal in the midst of our storms. Self-boundaries, making sure you set those boundaries to protect your mental space and even your heart and definitely your peace. And most of all, seeking out support. Look at, what your village used to be maybe 10 years ago may not be the village that you need today. So looking at the village that you have and making sure that if you need help, then you ask. You see, I am calling and challenging everyone in our community today to be the beacon of light that we want to see the change. Making sure that we are like Dorothy, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion. No matter what storm that you are facing today, making sure that if you want to see change, that you have to be a part of the narrative of change, to be able to bring those people up and allow them to see that there is a light that is holding over their head some kind of way. I am just reminded quickly of a story of a farmer that had some chickens, and he would always allow the chickens to come out, and they played in the water and they got a little sun every now and then. And in the midst of it, there was always one chicken that was never like the rest of them. That was me. And then the chicken would always, they come out, they flap the wings, and this particular chicken just kept flapping his wings and her wings and just wanted to do something a little different. And they will always say to the owner, won't you tell that chicken to sit down? Why don't you tell that chicken to stop flapping her wings everywhere? But one day, the chicken began to flap her wings even more and even more. And before she knew it, the chicken began to start soaring. And the owner realized that it wasn't a chicken after all, that she really was an eagle and was never meant to just be average, was never meant to just be okay with just being average. No matter what storm you come in, no matter what storm is facing you, always remember that somebody is watching and looking for a beacon of light to guide them to a place of hope. I want to challenge every champion in this room today that will be listening to my voice today to know that you do matter, and everything that you have to give, make sure that you're willing to bend down, lean forward, and allow someone to stand on your shoulders so that they can see their dreams. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm an ambassador, Dr. Sharron J. Brown. Thank you.